Thank you for joining IAB There.
Thank you, John Ward. Hi, everyone. My name is Eric John. I head up IAB's Media Center, the cross-platform, omni-channel umbrella for media at IAB, including video and audio. We serve as a conduit between buyers and sellers. We offer best practices, industry standards, and market-making forums like this, IAB There, our daily live stream when we bring together industry leaders across the digital advertising space. I'm excited to welcome everyone to this special IAB sponsored by Verizon Media. I'll be joined by two folks living and breathing the converged streaming TV, digital video space. And just to set a little set the table here a bit, for the last year, we've seen CTV and OTT viewership, time spent, and revenue skyrocketing. In the US, CTV ad spend last year reached over $8 billion. It's expected to reach over $11 billion this year in 2021. And amidst all these changes driven by widespread growth in viewership, not only for streaming, but also linear and addressable, there is plenty of opportunities to advance the art and science of long-form video monetization. So today we're going to explore how publishers, what they're doing to expand the ease of access, transparency, and measurement, and ways the industry can further accelerate the pace of adoption for what is increasingly a digital future of television. So let's get started. With us today is Anna Hitchens, recently appointed head of CTV and OTT publisher partnerships for Verizon Media. Anna is responsible for partnering with clients and the Verizon Media product teams to deliver best-in-class solutions for CTV and OTT. She brings 15 plus years of experience building and delivering solutions across the publisher-focused sales teams, driving strategic efforts, and ultimately, building the Verizon DSP and SSP platform business. Also with us is Dan Callahan, SVP of Data Strategy and Sales Innovation at Fox. He also brings a wealth of experience focused in particular on addressable and connected TV, as well as mobile and integrated marketing. So let's get started. We all know, as I just said, connected TV and OTT video consumption is on the rise, but ad spend is not commensurate with viewership. So what's holding us back at this point for further investment in the space? Anna, let's start with you, and then Dan, over to you.
Yeah, so thanks so much for having me today. Excited to be here. Spend is definitely on the rise. I saw a lot of high fives after Q4 earnings came out around CTV, but we still think there's a ton of opportunity. Advertiser spend is definitely not as widespread or evenly distributed as one might expect. And there's still a lot of advertisers that don't have this as a must buy on their plans today. But I think when it comes down to like your original question, I think it's viewed as hard. And in a certain way, they're right. It's definitely more complex. There's more things that you need to consider, whether it be how you're going to measure your campaigns, how you're going to reach your audience across a highly fragmented supply landscape. I know back in the day, you used to be able to make 6 phone calls and you could reach the entire United States. But today you've got multiple platforms, multiple AVODs, SVODs, MVPTs, and it's harder to reach that audience. And the last thing that you have to consider is around fraud. And I think we need to be honest with ourselves that fraudsters have definitely inserted themselves and have seen this as an opportunity to game the system. So on the flip side, though, for publishers, a lot of the conversations that we've had with advertisers and agencies recently has just been around an increased call for transparency. And some of that is just as simple as understanding the ratings or the genre of the inventory they're buying, or on the flip side of having series or channel information, which has been kind of a tricky subject, especially with publishers, because that's highly coveted data that they don't want to pass on the bid request. But the way that we're seeing it is it's more that we're getting deal spend that comes in the door and they're looking for us to honor some sort of do not air list, which I kind of suspect is that they already have buys in place directly. And they don't want to also duplicate that spend through the programmatic pipes. And so we've been talking to a lot of publishers about how do we come up with solutions to make it work so that we get that deal spend, but then also honor the advertiser's requests. And what's exciting is we've been working with our product team on some pretty innovative solutions to be able to make that a reality. so that we can get that deal spend onto publisher sites. So, but I think with CTV, what's most exciting is the fact that it has all the capabilities of digital, but with that premium TV experience. And I think if we come together as an industry to break down those barriers, we're going to see even more advertiser spend here.
So that is a great table setting there, Dan. A lot of promise. You live in both worlds of addressable and CTV. So much promise, but what are some of the obstacles, and referencing some of the things that Anna talked about, just that shifting business models? We can talk about programmatic in a second, but kind of at a high level, what are you seeing as obstacles and opportunities?
Yeah, I certainly like to classify them as opportunities, right? I think we've seen digital video evolve. CTV as a medium and platform is now the most popular living room environment. We think of it as the best of both worlds, that large screen in all of our homes, this lean back, relax, uninterrupted viewing experience, now with digital accountability and measurement running in the background. We still see a tremendous demand for our linear programs in digital environments. I think the consumption of live streaming events, from award shows to baseball, football, those streaming audiences are only growing. So there's definitely the need to keep up with the eyeballs and where the audiences are moving. And I think that's maybe the piece where, sure, you could argue that we're being held back a little bit, is more the forecasting and the projections have far exceeded, I think, even expectations that we had at the start of 2020. And we can talk about the pandemic and the stay-at-home orders. And I joke that you've got college-aged students living with their parents and really taught them how to stream and taught them how to use Hulus and Rokus. So you now have these, new audiences, bigger audiences, people that are watching more stuff. So the opportunity is grand. There's probably a little bit of an education of the differences and obviously the forms and types of measurement that are available there. But, it can be measured on broad demo, which is certainly a, great way to do it, and a way to migrate some of the existing linear business to these CTV endpoints. But what I'm really excited about is unlocking those advanced audiences that are available, both programmatically and directly, through custom integrations with distributors and data platforms alike.
So that's a great beat there, because what you're mentioning essentially is a more data-driven form of television, right? Because that's what enables the addressable future, is this, we're moving beyond pray and spray to ultimately the right ad to the right household. What are some of the tools that both of you, Anna and Dan, are seeing coming, into the portfolio and the toolkit for leveraging addressability? And and then Anna, we're going to get into programmatic things that you touched on a little bit around the data as well. But what does addressability mean for both of you?
I think addressability for me represents opportunity. I love the idea of thinking about how we can toggle back and forth between a demo audience or really a household addressable audience, and marry those two together. I think there's a lot of great industry initiatives underway with Project OR, where you really talk about marrying together that live linear experience, but now with digital reporting and measurement. You can still get your reach and your live Nielsen measurement, but now have some advanced creative decisioning running behind the scenes, some addressable creative that can swap out in real time to serve that right message to the right household at the right time, as you mentioned, Eric. So I think the opportunities are endless, and maybe that's what complicates this, is really you can throw the kitchen sink at somebody and you get lost in really the possibilities. I think what we really need to do as an industry is take a step back, think about what it is we want to accomplish. Project OR was a great example of that. From CES at 2020, when you got really a group of people around the room that were, competitors, working with the distributor to collaborate on what the future of a CTV experience could look like. And from those meetings at CES to Q4 in 2020, when we were live with real advertisers delivering this technology, it really shows the power of how we can come together if we all agree that we are better suited to collaborate and work together versus, pick over our differences and compete in these small silos. So I'm excited about what we accomplished. I hope that there's more of that in 2021. And, again, it's accountability and measurement across all devices, but still tied back to that live linear content or that linear on-demand content for Fox that brands have always come to value and appreciate.
Yeah. I love that example of Project OR, because it really, we compete every day across the ecosystem, but collaboration is actually how you can raise all the boats and drive more media. Anna, you've been living and breathing kind of the challenges around leveraging automation in a bigger way, or brings more opportunity to insert an ad to the right audience, right? It might be an overlay on top of with a more performance focused message, or maybe a different ad for a brand. But all that points to this opportunity to bust beyond the waterfall and the use of programmatic to get the right ad there. Can you talk a little bit about, something that's been getting a lot of attention, which is the use of header bidding in the context of CTV? Talk a little bit about the application of that pre-bid technology, and what does it mean, for your business to better understand, the inventory demands coming from agencies and buyers, and maybe too, what it means for better ad experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a good point. I think there's opportunities to improve demand and the user experience. I think both can win here. If you think back to, I'm sure you guys all watch like any sort of CTV, but there's plagued with the unfilled ad pods, the black screens with the music running in the background. At a certain point when we first cut the cord, I was like, I just want to see an ad. Like, I don't care what it is. Please show me an ad. So I think header bidding brings that opportunity to us. One, because it allows demand to compete in real time, and hopefully you fill that entire ad pod instead of having those empty ad pods, which I still see today on my screen very often. So I think as adoption for header bidding increases, we are going to see a better user experience. On the advertiser side, it actually shows the value of CTV programmatic spend because they're able to compete for those impressions in real time. So it gives more opportunities to advertisers to access that supply that maybe they didn't have access to before.
Let's shift into kind of what we talked about at the very outset, which is that shift in viewer behavior that everyone is leaning into, and what that means for increased inventory and supply. Dan, in our prep, we talked about kind of the rise again of sports and other live entertainment, NBA, NFL, etc. Hooray! But it also creates this opportunity for filling that demand in a way that Anna's talking about, but in the live context. Can you talk about that? Because I know, in your realm, that the experience for live is another big opportunity.
No, absolutely. It's a tremendous opportunity. I think, it'd be important to lead off by saying these streaming audiences are incremental, right? So you have your linear schedule, you're booked in that live event on the traditional side. And now it's really capturing these CTV streamers. Sometimes that's leveraging linear pass-through, right? And really taking the Nielsen rating, rolling it up, allowing those same advertisers that run in the traditional linear feed to take advantage of those digital streams. And I think for a lot of those bigger tentpole events, that's going to make a lot of sense. What we began testing probably back in 2018 with the World Cup was, programmatic in some of the wider games. We weren't going to do programmatic maybe when the US men or Italy or Germany was playing, but taking advantage of those live events, making some programmatic ad calls, seeing if the technology could make sense of the inventory with current streamers. Certainly a lot of issues and challenges arose, but since then we've only gotten better at it. I think as you talked about the increases in streaming, it's harder to forecast. We're excited when the audiences are up. The selling title or sales estimates are always going to be somewhat conservative because at the end of the day, we certainly want to over deliver and not under deliver. And being able to tap into programmatic demand for a live event is, again, it's truly upside. It's incremental revenue. It's an incremental opportunity for those advertisers. And we love that the technology has been able to catch up with the streaming, the number of people coming in and streaming, and then making sense of those commercial breaks, making sense of those pods. I think that, you touched on something with the header bidding last question, and I look at it as a way to better understand and assess all of the different demand coming in at once, and therefore being able to curate that ad break more respectfully and responsibly to avoid back-to-backs, to avoid those slates. When you sort of just looked at ad server and maybe programmatic demand in one window, there probably weren't enough options to choose from. And a lot of that programmatic technology that was evolved from desktop and short form really focused on one-of-one ad executions. So we still have opportunity to get better at podding. We still have opportunity to get better at kind of creating these breaks that are set in live events. But again, the viewership is incremental, the opportunity is upside, and then the more we can appropriately filter the programmatic buyers, that's a net positive opportunity for a brand and a positive revenue opportunity for Fox.
Yeah. You touched on the kind of, getting beyond the traditional pod. And so that kind of brings us to the idea of innovation in this space. And the other thing I would say that is a kind of mega trend that driven by the pandemic as well is just the reset of retail and the absolute, mandate for any brand to get their DTC house in order and their e-commerce house in order. So increased expectations from brands to accomplish not just high level branding, but kind of some of the lower funnel opportunities. What does a trend like shoppable ads in TV look like? Are you, Anna, over to you on this one. What are you seeing in terms of brands' expectations for that, business outcome based, and what are some of the solutions you're leveraging for that?
Yeah, so we've been really leaned in on innovation, more on the DSP side. I know we just actually recently did a deal with Innovid, and we're really excited about it because we have our first big budget campaign that's running next month. The biggest concern there is to make sure that it runs properly. So the last thing you want to do is make a promise to an advertiser and then it not deliver the premium experience that they're paying for. So we're in the process right now of making sure that we're certifying all of our clients to make sure that that ad runs the way it's supposed to. But we're really excited about that, and we're continuing to invest in innovation. And we think that that's like a huge another area of opportunity with advanced TV.
Dan, I know the Fox portfolio has some, and we talked about sports actually, and that experience. What are some of the innovative forms that you're seeing, or at least getting beyond the standard 15:30s, that you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the future is going to favor the bold in this area. There's a tremendous opportunity to take advantage of the data and the technology that we've discussed throughout this call today. I think transaction is big, like you mentioned. We talked a lot about measurement and accountability, but really outcomes. And are these viewers taking actions? Are they purchasing these products? Are they shopping at these stores? Are they going to these restaurants? I see a growing number of kind of lower thirds and call to actions over traditional units. I do think shoppable and QRC stuff that either pushes to the cell phones or the devices in the home, or can be saved for later if somebody sees something they like and maybe want to go back and revisit. So we have a group at Fox called Fox Next that's really focused on all things next generation advertising and kind of speaking to what's possible, and then really trying to hone in on those brands that have specific needs and can value these types of executions. So, we are all in on innovation. We really want to help bring these things to life. We think that, maybe they don't make sense for everybody, but there are a set group of advertisers that these capabilities can really enhance the performance on. And I think, again, it's about proving out that those ad dollars can work harder in these environments.
So I'm going to wrap it up a little bit here with a lightning round question for both of you. People usually ask what's keeping you up at night, but I would say let's spin this. What are you most excited about? So 2021 is ahead. If there's any year to literally, do a reset, what would that reset look like for each of you in your businesses and maybe personally as well?
I can go first. So I'm new to this position. So I recently took on this role a few weeks ago. And really my goal this year is to reset how we are working with OTT and CTV publishers. The way we've done things in the past has been fine, but I think that there's a way we can step up here and really be a strong partner. We know that there's a lot of other platforms out there that have been, more in market than us, but we think we have a pretty strong opportunity here with being smart about the solutions that we put out in market and really bring solutions that we think are going to be where the industry is 1 to 3 years from now. And I also think we're really well positioned. We've got our trusted supply side platform. We've got our omni-channel DSP, And then it's all powered by our identity graph, which I think is pretty compelling to our publisher community. But I'm excited. I think that there's a lot of momentum internally, and we've got some pretty exciting products that we're going to be putting out here in the next couple of months, and looking forward to getting those out to our clients.
Super. Dan, what's the Great Reset look like for you in 2021?
I mean, I think there's going to be a greater level of collaboration and communication with agencies and clients, right? I think about measurement and a lot of these innovative functions that we can now deploy. It's, who can we work closer with and no longer have to feel like we, need to buy around each other or not communicate with one another. I think there's going to be a greater level of transparency that should value the content companies and working directly with the folks like Fox. I think really understanding those brand KPIs and the toolkit of targeting and innovation capabilities that we can unlock to help evolve and enhance what they've done with us. So I'm just excited again, like Anna said, about the opportunities. There's so many of them. And I like the idea now that we kind of have uniform specs and standards, right? It used to be, if you wanted to buy addressable, you could buy it on a fraction of the inventory, or if you wanted to do optimized linear, you could only do it in these environments. 2021 for me really feels like the first time that we've got kind of uniform opportunities to go sell video and use the same measurement or the same currency across screen, both linearly and digitally, and across our great portfolio. And if I can real quick, I'd like to just plug the CTV report called The Stream that Tubi put out on Thursday, the 25th. I think it's a great resource for people to look back and obviously learn a little bit more about everything we talked about today. Obviously, the unique streaming reaches, the audience profiles, and again, how these audiences are complementary to that linear environment. So it's a great, certainly read if anybody's got 5 or 10 minutes to look at it.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Sure. That's awesome.
Yeah. And just to say, we're at this moment where with so much change, education, standards to get everybody rowing in the same direction, all great initiatives for us to lock arms together as an industry. So thank you, Anna and Dan, for sharing your insights. Thank you, everyone, for watching today. Be There is a production of the Interactive Advertising Bureau. Our show today is produced by Connor Healy, Joe Ounce, and John Ward. I'm Eric John, and thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you at the next one.
IAB's next big event is ALM, the annual leadership meeting running the week of March 8th. To find out more, visit www.iab.com/events.